Welcome. We're here for session 2 of Ready to Take Control. This is a natural progression from yesterday's session. So if you did not watch session 1, what I suggest that you do right now is go back and watch session 1, because this is going to make a lot more sense. And we're building upon the goals that you've set for yourself. Now, on this page, with an intention to do so, I put the picture of the iceberg on the right-hand side. The reason why I did that is because I want you to understand the power that's within your own mind. You see, you have your conscious mind and you have your subconscious mind. And your conscious mind is where you take in information, as you are doing right now while we're here on this webinar together. You are deciding while you're listening to this information, whether you're going to accept it or reject it. Now, I suspect because this is all about your success and you living your dream life, you're going to accept this. But unless and until you impress these ideas upon your subconscious mind through repetition, you will not begin to believe it. And I'm going to give you some suggestions on how to build such a strong subconscious that your paradigms, your beliefs are only supportive of how you would love to be living your life. And yesterday, or the first session, was really designed to inspire you to choose the kind of life that you would absolutely love to live, because it's yours for the claiming. It's yours for the taking, as they say. So I hope that what you chose yesterday was to create some magnificent, some marvelous, some extraordinary results in your life, because there's no limit, absolutely no limit to what you can create and what you will create. But you have to understand. So in order to have the things that you desire, you must, and the word must should be underlined, bold, build the belief system to support it. And I'm going to give you guidance on exactly how to do that, how to build the belief system that makes all of this manifestation process so much easier, which I suspect is something that you would absolutely love. Am I right or am I right? I'm sure you're saying, yes, you would love to be manifesting with complete ease. Now, here's a quote that is exactly 8 words, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 words. This quote is so impactful that when you really understand it, it can change your life or areas of your life that you desire to have changed. William James was a philosopher, and he said, believe and your belief will create the fact. Now, you could believe in something that's completely untrue, which, for many people, they are currently believing things that are untrue. They're believing that they can't have what they want, or they're believing that it's not possible for them because, or they're believing they're not educated enough, young enough, old enough, smart enough, whatever it happens to be. Those kinds of beliefs, when you believe it, will create the fact. And when William James said that, I'm certain he was talking about any belief, whether it's supportive or whether it's destructive, whether it's positive or whether it's negative, any kind of belief. When you believe something, it's going to create a fact. It's going to create an outcome. However, today, what we're talking about in the second session of Ready to Take Control is building only beliefs that are going to support you in the achievement of your dreams. That's why it's necessary that you go through the first session of Ready to Take Control, because in that session, I suggested that you identify what you would love, what you would really, really love. But let me add this. You may have done that yesterday. You may have done it in the past, and perhaps you amended it yesterday. But you may think of another idea today. You may think of something else that you would love to accomplish, or you may think of something else tomorrow. Either way, you can have, do, be, experience anything that you desire. You've got that power within you. So yesterday on one of the slides, I said there's 3 ways that you take control of your life. Now we're going to talk about taking control. And we're going to talk about manifesting as well. The first one is to understand what you have control over and make a decision on how you want to be living your life. You did that. We went through that. That was the first session. Today, number 2 is about building the belief system to easily attract your desired results. Now, I intentionally put the word easily in there because if it's been challenging for you, or if it's been difficult, It's because you're in your own way. Now, I know you don't intentionally get in your own way, but because you are, we all are habitual beings, we tend to do the same things, think the same thoughts, act the same way over and over again, unless and until we change it. And that's what we're going to work on today. Yesterday's slide said this: if you knew that one road was going to take you to freedom, joy, and all your wishes fulfilled, and the other road would take you to misery, poverty, which road would you take? Well, it's an obvious answer, right? The answer is you're going to take the road to your joy, to your freedom, to your wishes fulfilled. Okay, so now we know the direction your desire is to go in. So I'm going to guide you on how to get on that road and stay on the road, because there are many well-meaning people who have the desire. They get into a little bit of the study and they think they've got it all figured out, and they get out of the study, not realizing that you must continually condition yourself. And the work that we're talking about, which is fun, this is not a bad four-letter word, W-O-R-K, it can be a whole lot of fun, is work that you will want to do for the rest of your life. Hence the reason why in January 1979, I began studying and have never looked back, and never will look back, because of the positive changes that continually unfold in my life. So there's 3 steps to manifesting, starting with decide what you want. Step number 2, determine what you need to believe in order to have that. That's what this session is all about. And 3, connect to what it feels like now that you've accomplished your goal. We'll dive further into that tomorrow. We're also going to talk about getting off track, putting yourself back on track. We're going to talk about sabotage. We're going to talk about adversity. We're going to talk about challenges. But how do you live from the end? How do you see something that's not even there? You're making up in your own imagination. Powerful session, and that's all tomorrow. So how are your beliefs created? I did mention this yesterday as well. They begin to be created from the moment you're born. By the time you're 7 years of age, your beliefs are formed. Now, I have a young granddaughter at this time who's a baby, and her beliefs are being formed. How are her beliefs being formed? Her beliefs are being formed by what she's taking in from her senses. What are her senses? What she's hearing and what she's seeing. So as she's being told how beautiful she is and how sweet she is and how she can do anything she sets her mind to, and as all these wonderful ideas are being shared with her, that's reinforcing and building a belief system within her. But not everybody is raised with those positive beliefs. I certainly wasn't. And I suspect if I ask many of the people that are watching this, whether you were raised with only positive beliefs and supportive beliefs and positivity in your home, I suspect there'd be many people, and far more than would say yes, would say no. So beliefs can be changed. This is great news, wonderful news. They can be changed with faith, expectancy, and repetition. And I'll talk to you today about how you can build the faith. Now, faith, if you think about that as a word, faith and belief are very closely aligned. Faith involves you believing in something that you believe is true, right? And so thinking about your goals, you must build the belief in order to manifest your goals into reality. So there's different types of beliefs. Now we're going to put it into 2 camps for simplistic sake. One camp is the positive side of a belief. That's a supportive belief. That's an empowering belief. That's a creative belief. When I wrote my 3rd book called Be a Dog with a Bone, I remember having a conversation with my sister-in-law who got together with my brother when I was 14 years of age. And my brother Gary was 8 years older. And so he was with Melanie at the time. And I've known Melanie now for many, many, many years. And I told Melanie, I said, when I became an author, I became a dog with a bone. And she said, no, you didn't. And I said, what do you mean? She said, you were a dog with a bone when you were a teenager. You made your mind up to do something and bam, you were going through walls, doors, over, under, whatever it took, you were going to make it happen. And I don't remember that. I didn't really remember that I was like that. And I'm not even sure it was necessarily for good or for positive things at that time. But if I think back to that being a belief, it's positive. Right? Determination, persistence are very positive things. If you believe that you will find a way, that when you decide on something, whatever it takes, remembering also the most valuable lesson that I shared with you yesterday is you don't have to know how. You don't have to know how. If you believe you've got the ability to do it, you're going to do it. If you believe that you are deserving of having what you desire, you're going to attract it into your life. So those kinds of beliefs are very positive, they're very supportive, and they are going to contribute to the attraction of what you desire. But at the same time, everyone has other beliefs, negative beliefs, disempowering beliefs, destructive beliefs, and we're all unique, just like our DNA is uniquely ours. Your belief system is uniquely yours. And it's important to understand what your belief system is. It's important to understand you only from the perspective of, are you holding on to a belief that doesn't support you? And an example of that is coming up in a few short slides. So this is really, it's all about you recognizing, what are my beliefs? Now, I'm going to suggest this as well. We're not going to harbor or spend all kinds of time thinking about what's wrong with me or what's, what negativity do I have within me? That doesn't serve you. It's relatively easy, and I say relatively easy because this is a thinking process to determine what your beliefs are when you do look at your results. For example, let's say you're in a situation where you don't have the kinds of funds that you would love. You don't have the money in your life that you would love. Very likely there is a belief within you. We can call it a disempowering belief that is non-supportive of you having abundance. If that's there, it is destructive. And so what is the belief? Maybe it's a belief that you're not worthy of abundance. And if that's the case, then what's the opposing belief that you would need, that you are worthy of success? Just see how simple this can be. And a lot of people think it's far more complicated than it is. It's not that complicated. What I'm really doing is giving you an understanding of why you are the way you are and how you can get to where you want to go. That's really what it's all about. So let's look at what some examples of some positive beliefs might be about yourself. And by the way, as you're seeing some of these positive beliefs and you love them and you'd love them to be your belief, write them down. So if you're seeing this belief, I know I can do anything I set my mind to, or I do anything I set my mind to, would even be more powerful, right? Write it down. Let's say you feel you were born to succeed and you love that and you're embracing it. Then if you're not succeeding, what's going to happen? If you have, or when you have that belief that you're born to succeed, everything that shows up in your life that is unlike that, that might be looking like failure, you're going to just dismiss and just say, oh, that's just a stepping stone. Next, I'm just going to, like, whatever is happening along the way, if you really believe you're born to succeed, you're just going to find another way. You're going to find another way. You're going to find another way. So these are so highly supportive. I am powerful beyond measure. And all of you could have these beliefs. I am destined for greatness. I set my goals and I reach them. I love myself. I am lovable. I believe in me. I am worthy of success. Those are examples of beliefs that would only support you. And you don't need pages and pages and pages and pages of beliefs. You could just choose to lock on to one or a few beliefs and give all your attention to that. And that could be built just like a muscle on your physical body that you're choosing to work on every single day. You're going to work on it by giving it your attention. Now I'm going to wrap up this session with how to do that. How do you build the belief system? How do you build the faith within you? If at the present time you don't have it, all right, I'm going to go over that today. Now here's some examples of positive beliefs about others or about the world. We live in an abundant world. Now, I believe that. I didn't many, many years ago, but I built it. It's like a muscle that I chose to work on. People are very generous. Others support me in everything that I do. I work in harmony with the laws. And that particular statement is referencing the laws of the universe, the law of cause and effect, the law of gestation, the law of vibration, the law of attraction, the law of polarity. I work in harmony with the laws. There are riches everywhere. You know, one of the wonderful teachers that I've been blessed to study is Dr. Joseph Murphy. And one of the things that he suggests is to see abundance everywhere. He's written a number of books on prosperity consciousness. I've been teaching seminars since the 90s on prosperity consciousness because I wrapped my head around that idea. I was in love with the idea of having prosperity. And so that is a wonderful belief when you see riches everywhere. I remember hearing Bob Proctor one time saying, envy is ignorant. Now, he wasn't talking about ignorance being rude. He was talking about not knowing. Like when somebody envies another's success, is because they don't realize they too could have the same. There's nothing separate from them. People are loving, kind, friendly, warm, and compassionate. I easily trust others. Do you realize that one of the reasons why someone would easily trust others is because they easily trust themselves? So you tend to see in other people what's also within you. All right, interesting idea, isn't it? Well, here's a wonderful story that really demonstrates this point. Long ago in a small faraway village, there was a place known as the House of 1,000 Mirrors. A small happy little dog learned of this place and decided to visit. When he arrived, he bounced happily up the stairs to the doorway of the house. He looked through the doorway with his ears lifted high and his tail wagging as fast as it could. To his great surprise, he found himself staring at 1,000 other happy little dogs with their tails wagging just as fast as his. He smiled a great smile and was answered with 1,000 great smiles, just as warm and friendly. As he left the house, he thought to himself, this is a wonderful place. I will come back and visit it often. In the same village, another little dog who was not quite as happy as the first one decided to visit the house. He slowly climbed the stairs and hung his head low as he looked into the door. When he saw the 1,000 unfriendly looking dogs staring back at him, he growled at them and was horrified to see 1,000 little dogs growling back at him. As he left, he thought to himself, this is a horrible place. I will never go back there again. Now, what does that really mean? It means you see the world as you are. You see the world based on what your beliefs are. And if you're seeing the world as a dark, lonely place, there's something going on within you. If you're seeing the world as a troubled place, there's something going on within you. It doesn't mean that that's not going on in the world. It may be going on in the world. But this example, as simple as it may be, really gives a great understanding of how we're viewing ourselves. How are you viewing yourself? Do you see yourself as the smiley person, the happy-go-lucky person with your head held high, or the other way around? Because it will reflect back. The world will reflect back to you what you're feeling inside. So you want to be ensuring that what you're giving your conscious attention to are only those thoughts and only those feelings that feel good and support you. Now, examples of negative beliefs. Now, I want you to remain non-judgmental as we're going through any of the trainings. Judging yourself, getting upset at yourself does not serve you. As a matter of fact, it's destructive. So even if you're hearing some of this training and you're thinking to myself, oh, what a fool, like I can't believe I've been doing that. And yes, that's exactly the belief that I've been hanging on to. Let it go. That doesn't serve you. But here's what does serve you: awareness. Having the awareness and being willing to take a good look at yourself as an observer, not as someone who's going to judge, as a simple observer. So if you're thinking, can't get anything right, you were born to struggle, you don't even like yourself, you always mess things up, never finish things you start, I'm just not smart enough, good enough, strong enough, wish I was never born, I can never get ahead. Now, I don't know about any of you that are watching this or listening to this, whether you've ever had that kind of experience, but I did. Like I can pull these, up because they were there. These were the negative beliefs that I held on to 42 years ago. Now, when you have those kinds of beliefs, what kind of results are you going to produce? Results that are simply reflective of that. Probably having a life that's struggle, that's getting messed up, continually messed up, maybe starting things, not finishing them, never amounting to anything, never feeling like you're getting ahead, being upset, sad, depressed, perhaps. Those are negative beliefs that will they're destructive. They'll sink you. So the awareness is to just notice, are there any negative beliefs there? And if there are, then make a decision that you are going to replace them. And I'll show you how in a moment. Okay, the world is against me. People are nasty, mean, evil. People are only out to take advantage of me. I can't trust anyone. I don't believe anyone will help me. All negative, destructive beliefs. They're not going to support you. And I really feel that, we're such interesting beings. It's not that there's something wrong with somebody who has all these negative beliefs. They were programmed that way. I was programmed that way. I was raised in a very negative, destructive, hostile, dysfunctional environment. This is what the conditioning was prior to meeting Bob Proctor. But I made a decision, I'm going to change it, and dedicated my life to it. Why? Because as you build your beliefs to be positive, as you build your beliefs to be only supportive of how you would love to be living your life, everything gets better. And you know something else? It continues to get better and better and better. So we build beliefs based on taking in information through our senses. Some of it is coming to us by deliberate attention. Other things are coming to us by just what we're hearing. For example, if the news is on in your home, I remember my mother used to have the television on almost around the clock. She would turn on her television as soon as she woke up in the morning and put on the news. She would watch the evening news as she went to bed. What was she doing? She was taking in constant negativity into her consciousness. Now, she had been raised in a very negative environment as well. So do not underestimate the influence that outside stimuli may be having on you as well. And also, you're here. Now, you being here does say a lot about who you are. You've chosen to be here today. So you're taking in information that's positive, that's going to support you. And it's through the repetition of valuable ideas, positive ideas, that your own belief system will begin to change. And then, of course, once your belief system changes, your results will change. So your belief system or your paradigms are literally controlling everything about you. They're controlling how you're taking in information. They're controlling what you're thinking, what you're saying, what you're feeling. They're controlling your behaviors. What are you doing? What are your habits? What are your actions? They affect your decisions. And all information you come in is coming in also through your own belief system filter. Right? You're deciding whether you're going to accept or reject the idea. This is how beliefs control every part of your life. And you've probably heard the story about the fleas that were put in a jar. Now, fleas have the ability to jump. And the story goes that they were put in a jar. There was some air holes so that the fleas could breathe, but they're put in a jar and they jump up and down, jump up and down. What happens? They bang their head on the top of the jar. They bang their head on the top of the jar. It gets to a point where they realize, or they think, they assume that they can only jump so far because there's a lid on their jar. This is what so many people do, is they put a lid on their results because they don't think they can go any further, where in fact you can go as far as you would love. There's no limit to what you can create. So you got to recognize that and then just choose to take the lid off it. Because in the experiment with the fleas, once they took the lid off the jar, after the fleas had been conditioned to believe that they couldn't go any further, they didn't try and get out of the jar. They could have easily gotten out of the jar. They didn't bother. It's like the story of the little elephant who was tied to a stump when he was a baby, or she was a baby. And this elephant was tied to a stump. One end, it was like a leash almost. And one end was tied to the ankle of the elephant, and one end was tied to the stump. And the rope was strong enough that the elephant couldn't get away. It couldn't get away. It only had a certain distance that it could go. And then because of the limitation of the rope, it came to believe that's the only place I can go. We have a neighbor across the street that has a little dog. And the little dog they let run wild. And my husband was talking to the owner of the home, his name is Brian, and was talking to him one day and asked him, like, your dog's really good. Your dog doesn't run away. Like, that's pretty amazing, because little dogs tend to run away. And Brian said that in their previous home, which they had been in for many years since the dog was born, they had an invisible fence. And with invisible fences, there's a collar that goes around the dog. And anytime the dog goes beyond the fence, it does something, maybe vibrates, some of them, I think, zap dogs. I think you have an option of doing it either way. And so this dog never went beyond the fence. And so the dog is now conditioned to believe not to go beyond the property. Same thing with the elephant. Once the rope was cut from the elephant had the ability to go anywhere it wanted. Plus, as the elephant got bigger and bigger and bigger, it could have easily pulled out that stump. And this is what happens with humans. They limit themselves because of previous or past programming, right? I want you to think about how or where have you been limiting yourself, and make a decision right now. No more playing small. You're going for it. You're going to finally choose to live the life that you have imagined, that you desire to live. It's your time. There's no mistake that you're here. You're here for a reason. You're hearing this for a reason. This is for you to realize that you have untapped potential, that it is time to do something about it. So your beliefs, if you want to know what you're like, look at your results. We talked about that in our first session. Look at the way you're living, the kind of home that you're in. Look at the income that you're earning. Bob Proctor often asks people, what's the most amount of money you've ever earned? And he said, I don't ask them to be nosy. He said, I ask them because I want to know what they believe they're worth. See, your income is based on what you think you're worth. How you're living is what you think is based on how you think you should be living. So notice the things that you're saying. Pay attention to your feelings or your thoughts. Pay attention to that. I remember one time when my son was young and he had a friend over, a play date, as they called it, and his mother came to pick him up. And they're standing at the front door, he's getting his coat on, his shoes on, and getting ready to leave. And the little boy said to his mom, Mom, could we, go rent a movie and get some pizza tonight? And she says, oh, I'm sorry, she didn't have the money to do it. And she told her son that she didn't have the money. And then she started to go on and on about how she never has enough money and whatever. And it's like, she built the belief system. And I said, I could help you with that. And I think it kind of puzzled her for a moment, but I did end up helping this woman. And she did go on to build her own business. She opened her own gym. And so she was ready to receive. So you got to notice the things that you're saying. You want to pay attention to what you're feeling, what your thoughts are, and particularly pay attention to whether those thoughts and those feelings are, in fact, in alignment with what you would love to experience, or whether they are in direct opposition to what you would love to experience. So, for example, you decide, and prior to getting started today, there was a gentleman who had mentioned that his sister is interested in writing a book. And I've written 19. I have 19 books out there in the world. Actually, I haven't written them all, but I've released 19 books. I've had ghostwriters, etc. Anyways, pay attention to your thoughts and feelings. Let's say she decides that she would love to be a New York Times bestselling author, which I've accomplished for myself and for a number of my clients have as well. And let's say there's something within her, a thought, a feeling that says, I'm not good enough. Who would want to read what I have to write? Those are non-supportive beliefs. So what kind of beliefs would you have or would be required in order for you to actually manifest a New York Times bestseller? You got to believe that you're worthy of that. You have to believe that your writing is great enough. You have to believe that people are going to love your book, and thousands and thousands and thousands of people are going to be buying it because that's what's going to land it on the New York Times bestseller list. You have to pay attention to what you're giving attention to. Because if you continually think, can't happen for me, it's never going to happen, nope, it's only for other people, I'm not a great writer or whatever, that's destructive. You want to replace it with, I am a New York Times bestselling author. As I suggested in our first session, you write out your goals as if they're already in your life now, because this is how you manifest. And we'll get into more of that in our third session from this event. So as we're even during our training, and I'm suggesting this to you, to be an observer of your own thoughts, to be an observer of your own feelings, because this is going to give you valuable information. What valuable information is it going to give you? It's going to give you valuable information to understand what your beliefs are, and allow this to be an opportunity to have that awareness so that then you can choose to change the belief if it doesn't serve you. So when I went through my divorce many, many years ago, it was a painful experience, but it was one of my best learning experiences. Why was it one of my best learning experiences? It was one of my best learning experiences because I realized that there was a belief within me prior to that time that I didn't feel worthy of love. If you do not feel you are worthy of love, you may attract someone into your life, but you will very likely sabotage it. That's exactly what I did. I sabotaged not only that relationship, the previous relationships as well. And it was only when I decided to be really honest and have a good hard look at what are the beliefs that are within me that are non-supportive, or what belief is there that's non-supportive of enjoying a happy, wonderful, enjoyable relationship. And that was it. It was profound. It was a big, exciting experience for me to have that realization. So then what did I do? I chose to change it. Now, what do you change it to? The opposite. What's the opposite? I am worthy of love. Simple, right? See, so many people think it's got to be more complicated than this. It's not. I'm here to tell you that it's not. It really isn't. So you want to build the new beliefs that are going to support the goals that you've set for yourself, the desires that you have in your life, and they can be easily built. I'm going to tell you exactly how to build them today. Now, it's going to take some time, and you definitely need to be disciplined. Definitely need to be disciplined, okay? All right. So based on the goals that you set for yourself in session number 1, what do you need to believe in order to have those goals manifest in your life? This is your assignment. Write out, what do you believe? What do you believe you need to believe in order to have those goals? Maybe it's that it's possible, that it's already done, that it was easy for you, that the power within you was always there, that you're worthy of the success that you desire, that you deserve the abundance that you see yourself with in your life. It could be some of those things, one of those things, all of those things, something else. Obviously, these beliefs are only positive, and that's what I want you to write down. That's why earlier when I shared with you that slide of some examples of positive beliefs, I suggested back then, write it down. If you saw a belief or you hear a belief as I'm teaching that you resonate with, that you are in love with, write it down. Now, you may come up with only a handful of beliefs. For me to experience a loving, lasting, fulfilling relationship, which I'm now in, by the way, which I attracted into my life 16 and a half years ago, only occurred because I chose to adopt and build and reinforce the belief that I am worthy of love. I'm worthy of being in a happy, lasting, wonderful, fulfilling, committed relationship. And that is exactly what I manifested in my life. You have to believe it. And I mentioned earlier about the writing of a book. I remember writing my first book. And here I am 19 books later, books sold in over 100 countries and in 37 languages. And I remember having the thought, who's going to want to read my book? But you know what? I felt strongly enough at that point, because I had already been into the study and personal development by that point, over 20 years, I had something to share. I also felt, and I mentioned this in the first session, that there's a lot of material that's out there in the world, and it's complicated, and it doesn't have to be that way. Absolutely believe that. I absolutely believe it. Do you need to know exactly how your brain works? I don't think so. Although it's helpful, sure. But we don't have to make this complicated. You can, but it's not necessary to make it complicated. It is easy and it's very, very simple. You simply have to condition yourself. So how can you build the new belief within you? Well, you decide what the belief will be. That's why your assignment is to first decide what you need to believe in order to have the goals that you've set for yourself. Then you're going to write them out as affirmations, written only in a positive way, just like your goals. I am born to win. I succeed at everything I set my mind to. I am a success. I am worthy of love. I'm deserving of abundance. And you don't only affirm these things, affirm means you're saying them over and over again, but you affirm them with the feeling. So if you're saying the words, I am born to win, you're feeling it, right? I set my goals and I achieve them. And you're saying it with conviction. You're saying it like you mean it, right? You've probably heard that expression before. Say it like you mean it. This is definitely what you want to be doing with your affirmations. You want to say them like you mean it. Why? Because it brings in the energy of the emotion, which makes a bigger impact. And then the repetition part is repeating the affirmations over and over and over again. I do affirmations every single day, and a lot of them. Now, you don't have to do a lot of them. A lot of mine are similar. Sometimes I add new ones. Sometimes I'll change it up. But the idea behind you building these new beliefs is by choosing something that's only going to support you in giving your undivided attention to these new beliefs. So you could have one affirmation or you could have many affirmations. One of my favorite affirmations is the following: I always have an abundance of money to do whatever I want to do. Now let's stop for a moment and let's think about that as an affirmation. I always have an abundance of money to do whatever I want to do. Now, what would that mean for you? Now, what it means is there's an unlimited supply. Maybe it means that your bank accounts are filled with money or currency, whatever the currency is where you are. That if you decide, or when you decide that you're going to buy something, new boat, new car, new dress, new suit, whatever it is, new shoes, anything, new home, whatever it is, you always have an abundance of money to do whatever you want to do. And when you think about that as a statement, it could be said with no conviction, with no emotion. Always have an abundance of money to do whatever I want to do, just like you're reading the phone book. But if you say it with emotion and you feel it, I always have an abundance of money to do whatever I want to do, and you really genuinely feel it, your world will change. Not right away, but it absolutely will. When you feel it, you've got to feel it. That really is the secret. As Neville Goddard said in his book, Feeling is a Secret. That's the secret. So if you start declaring you are a happy and healthy millionaire, what does it feel like? What does it feel like to be a happy and healthy multimillionaire? So as you're saying the words, you're using what? You're using your imagination. You're tapping into your imagination. Your imagination is your mental faculty. We all have it. Every one of us has it. There's nobody that's exclusive to this. You all have imagination. So you want to say it and feel it. You want to say it and feel it. You want to read these affirmations or treatments, if you will. Some books call them treatments if there's several affirmations in one. I remember back in the 90s, and my father, or pardon me, it was the 80s. It was probably around 1986 or 87. And my father had been diagnosed with prostate and bladder cancer. And I had already been involved in personal development at that point. I was a huge fan of Bob Proctor. I was going to every single one of his seminars. I was reading every book that he would recommend, Dr. Maxwell Maltz, Wayne Dyer, Napoleon Hill. I was just reading them all. And I remember my father getting diagnosed with cancer, and they had told him at the time there was a 50-50 chance he was going to make it. And I got into Louise Hay's study at that time. She was really just starting out and not as well known as she is today. And I remember in her book called You Can Heal Your Life, which is right here on my bookshelf somewhere, You Can Heal Your Life, there was in the back of the book, she had recommended that you read these series of, it's like a sequential list of affirmations over and over again. Deep at the center of my being, there is a well of love. I allow it to flow up to the surface. And I remember reading that every single day for years. because it was really building a belief system within me of being lovable. A big part of why people get sick, and she was working a lot with cancer patients and AIDS patients at the time, is because they don't feel they're worthy of anything. And so she had recommended that in order to build this new belief system within you, that you repeat. And that's why I mentioned treatments. I know in some of Dr. Robert Russell's book, he has treatments, for prosperity. I read treatments every single day. I keep them in my desk drawer. And what they are is simply affirmations. That's really what they are, is affirmations designed to build beliefs, but they must be felt. This is the difference. I want you to understand this so much. And I'm stressing this, I know, a little bit more than normal in our training today, but you must feel it. Now, let's say at first you begin to say an affirmation. We'll use a very simple example here. I'm a happy and a healthy multimillionaire, but you don't believe it. You're saying the words and you're feeling like, oh, that's just a crock. It's a bunch of garbage. That's just a lie. I want you to notice that. And I want you to bite your tongue. If you start saying things like, this is garbage, this is a crock of whatever, just do not give that any. Notice what's going on and then switch. Pretend I am a happy and a healthy multimillionaire. What does that feel like? You can do that. You can absolutely do that. When we were kids, we would play imagination all the time. My neighbor who lives a couple doors down was telling me the other day she got her first Barbie doll. And I remember when I was a little girl, I had Barbie dolls. I had Midge and Ken, and a little carrying case for them, a little house, and all these little outfits that they would wear. And my sister, who was 1 year older than me, she had her little Barbie, and I don't know what the male version was that she had. And we would play, right? You're playing. It's a pretend. It's like you're pretending whatever. We did it as kids, but then we're told, stop daydreaming, come back to your senses or whatever. We're told to stop that kind of thing. But that, in fact, is how you build great visions, is by daydreaming. So if you imagine just for a moment, you are a happy and healthy multimillionaire, just take a moment, do it right now. Imagine that's your life. You are a happy and healthy multimillionaire. What does it feel like? You can do that. You can do that right now. What does it feel like? Probably feels a lot like freedom. Probably feels a lot like relaxation. I suspect you're feeling grateful, maybe relaxed, whatever it is, perhaps even relief. But it must be felt in order to be built. And it doesn't happen one time. It's repetition. You've got to constantly affirm over and over and over again. So it's not enough to just pick up your affirmations wherever you have them or keep them and read it just for the sake of saying, oh, check that box. Read my affirmations today. You might as well not even bother doing it. You want to do it, but do it effectively. Effectively means you're going to give it attention. You're going to pay attention to what you're doing because you want to build the belief the most effective way that you can. And how long does it take to build the belief? It depends. Depends on you. Depends on your level of believability. Depends on how willing you are. Depends on how structured you are. Depends on whether you're giving this your undivided attention or not. You want to give this your attention. Affirmations can also be used to not only build a belief, but it can take you away from negative way of thinking over to positive way of thinking. We'll get into more of that in our next session. Now, Power Life Script is a methodology that I established back in the 90s, which is the most powerful technique to manifest your desires with ease. It is by far the single best tool I have ever used. Yes, it's the tool that I created. Yes, it's a program that I offer, but I want to tell you what it is right now so that you can create your own Power Life Script. So a Power Life Script is when you take a look at, so your homework is to decide what do you need to believe in order to have that which you desire. And so in our first session, you made a decision on what you would love. Now we're talking about building the belief system. So what do you need to believe in order to have that? That's the second part of it. Now I want you to imagine you're living your amazing life. And then you write a description of your amazing life. And it might look something like this. I am so happy and feel so grateful every day I wake up and I just give thanks to a creator, the divine, whatever you want to say, to God, for my incredibly wonderful, blessed, magical life. I am abundantly prosperous. I'm a happy and a healthy multimillionaire. I'm surrounded by love. I'm doing work that's deeply meaningful to me. I'm making a positive contribution to the lives of the world. I live in the most beautiful home that just feels so good. I love the spaciousness of my home. I love my high ceilings. I love all our guest rooms. And you just start describing, and when I'm finished work at the end of the day, sometimes we go down to the dock and we get on our boat and we go for a beautiful boat ride, or we'll watch the sunset in front of us. You want to become emotionally involved with your amazing life. And a description of it will help you to do that. So you write out your Power Life script in a way that you really embrace it and you really feel it. And you're so connected with it as if it's here now. It's so important that it's written in the present tense. You do not write this as if it's something that's coming or something in the future. You write it present tense. Why? Because if you say and you declare to the universe, it's coming, what's going to happen? It's not going to be there because it's always somewhere else. You write it in the affirmative. You also want to be imagining with your imagination of what you're going to be seeing and how you're going to be feeling, and talk about everything that's important in your life. And once you've written it, and it could only be a couple pages, might be a page, might be 8 pages, depends on how extensive you get with this. I know someone that has a Power Life script that's many, many, many pages. I think mine is now around 8 or 9 pages. I can't remember. And then what you do is you record it. And when you record it with all the enthusiasm in the world. Now there's an app that you can get for a phone, and it's called, what is it called? Hang on here a second. There's a phone app that you can get, and it's available on most phones. There's voice recorder, voice loop. And these types of apps will allow you to record right into your phone, and then you can play it on your phone as well. So mine's on my phone. I actually record it on my computer, and I have my little earbuds, 2 sets of them now because I charge them all the time. I listen to my Power Life script every day. I listen to it for hours every single day. Why? Because if you hear something often enough, you will start to believe it, right? This is how you're programmed. This is how your beliefs got in there in the first place, by repetition, by hearing something, seeing something, feeling something over and over again. So the more you're giving attention to your amazing life through the repetition, the better it's going to go for you. And this is what you're doing. You're reprogramming your mind. That's literally what you're doing. Easy peasy peasy, because once you do this, all you have to do is push play. How much easier could it be? Now, I wear my earbuds when I'm out walking my dogs. I wear my earbuds when I'm getting ready in the morning. I'll wear my earbuds if I'm doing the laundry in the house or doing the dishes or making dinner. I'll wear my earbuds when I'm, just hanging out, sitting in the backyard, watching the water, sitting on the boat, whatever. I listen to it all the time. Multiple times every single day. And this is what you want to do to build your belief system. So there's a process to accept these ideas as truth. Because at first, if it's not part of your conditioning, there's a tendency to want to reject it. Okay, so just understand that's going to happen. So it starts with the desire for a change. Ready to take control is all about you creating positive change in your life now. But you have to be open and receptive. You want to connect the words with the emotion. So if you're saying in your recording, I am so happy and I'm so grateful, feel it, right? Feel it. If you're standing in front of a mirror and you're doing mirror work, and perhaps you're saying an affirmation over and over again, and you're saying, I am so happy and so grateful to be a healthy, happy multimillionaire, feel it while you're saying it. And if at first you're not feeling it, do it again and again and again until you firmly, track that into your conscious mind. Now, it's the repetition that's going to put it into your subconscious mind, because the subconscious mind doesn't have any ability to accept or reject, but it goes in through the repetition, through the space-time repetition. So this is what you want to do. And even as you're going about your day, you can be actively imagining that you have or you're living the life that you desire to live. So a great example of that is there's a gentleman here with car keys in his hand. Maybe one of the goals that he had for himself was to purchase a luxury car. And so it can be done by just looking at existing car keys. You don't even have to look at car keys. You could be having this imagination. It occurs, the original idea started in your consciousness, and this is where it can grow and expand and become evidence in your life. So you want to daily be actively imagining that this is your life. I remember a number of years ago, I was in a home that I didn't love and was pursuing another home, a dream home. And so what I would do is if I was doing my dishes, I would be imagining I'm doing my dishes in the sink of my new home. Or I'd wake up in the morning and immediately see myself in my new home. Same thing for relationships. If you would love to have a significant other in your life, you actively imagine. Before I attracted my husband, Denny, into my life, I would actively imagine that I was driving down the road and I'd be with my partner, or that I was going for a walk with my dog and I'd be holding the hand of my significant other, or I was getting in the car to go out for dinner and he was holding the door open for me like a gentleman would. All actively imagined. And within 2 weeks of deciding I was going to attract him into my life, I did. I attracted him into my life using imagination, effectively using what I'm sharing with you right here, right now. Okay. So you want to connect to your future. You've got a lot of assignments to do following today's session. And that is to expand on what do you need to believe in order to have that which you desire. The next thing is to write out your power life script, your amazing life, and record it as well. You got to be thinking as the person you desire to be and only thinking from that place. I love this quote by Dr. Joseph Murphy. He says, the idea of wealth produces wealth. It's like the gentleman who became a multimillionaire who was previously homeless. He was interviewed and asked, at what point did you become rich? And he said, I was rich when I was laying on the bench, because he began to actively imagine that was his outcome. And he manifested that in his life through his own imagination. Now, our goal here at Dynamic Destinies is to help you know that, feel it. Now, we can help you. There's a number of ways. Now, I mentioned in our first session, I began studying personal development in January 1979. That wasn't a couple days ago. That wasn't a couple months ago or years ago. It was a long time ago, over 42 years. I still, to this day, study. Why? Because it expands our awareness. It expands my awareness. And I know this, that when you expand your awareness, things will get better. So we're here to support you. We got a number of programs that can help you. It's not going to start and stop here by having a couple sessions together. We want to take you further. Where do we want to take you? We want to take you to where you want to go, to your destination. So there'll be a tab, a button where you can schedule an appointment, schedule a discovery call to find out which program we recommend that's going to fit your desires, what it is that you want to do. So book an appointment. It costs nothing. And the link's right here. So do it. Do it. So my recommendation is right now, determine what new beliefs that you need to have in order to get to where you want to go. And then create your own power life script and or a list of affirmations. And then commit that every day you're going to discipline yourself enough to build it. How? I have a suggestion for you. I call it the daily discipline checklist. What you do is you decide the things that you're going to implement every single day. And every day you check them off, just like a list. You see, we're accustomed to check things off when they're on a list. Now, here's some things that you can write out. Affirmations, gratitude statements, mirror work. I mentioned that as well. Visualization, studying, power life script. These are just some of the suggestions that I have. I want to be easy on you. And you know something? You don't even have to do them all. You could do one of them. Now, which one would I recommend? I think you know, the Power Life script. Absolutely. If you do nothing else but get a Power Life script, I recommend that you do that. But these are the things that I'm going to suggest that are going to take you where you want to go. It is so important. What I've just shared with you within the last 56 minutes can positively change your life in every way. And I know that, and I can say that because it's done that for my own and for many, many others. But I'll tell you something that my friend Wayne Dyer said, it's not crowded along the extra mile. It's not. So if you have a desire to be on the extra mile, which is the extra mile of success, make some decisions today, book an appointment with one of our folks and find out how you can create right now, make a decision right now, no more playing small. Your amazing, incredible life is waiting for you, but you got to do some work too. And as you can see, I'm giving you the guidance to make it easy for you, simplistic, so that you can apply it. And when you do, everything changes. Everything changes for the better. Absolutely. Are you guys ready for that? Are you ready for some positive change? Yes. Okay. Put your arms way up in the air like this in a victory pose, feeling the elation and the joy and the knowing that everything that you desire is already here. Yes. Woo, that feels good, doesn't it? I need to get a view of the entire gallery. There we go. All right. Everyone that has your video open. Yeah. Woohoo. All right. Okay. Great work, guys. I love it. All right. It is 4 minutes to the top of the hour. Wow. I don't know about you, but that time just went whipping by. I probably have time. Now it's 3 minutes before for one question. All right. Way to go, John. I saw your smile there and it's beautiful. I love it. Great energy there. Does anyone have a question that I can address? Oh, someone has their hand up. All right. Who has their hand up? Where is I? Oh, no, it was a thumbs up. Sorry, it was a thumbs up. Okay. Nancy, let me bring you into the spotlight. If you can unmute your line, that would be terrific.
Hi, Peggy.
Hi.
So I try to be very emotional as I read my affirmations, but I think maybe I have too many. Is it possible that, I mean, I've now got a stack about this thick. Is that kind of, making it less powerful if I have too many affirmations?
It's a great question. And I've been known to have what some people might call too many. And so I can relate to that. So here's the answer to that. As long as they are all positive, as long as they all support you, as long as they're all helpful in building that foundation, that belief system, that's great. That's wonderful. And this is the reason why for years and years and years of building my own Power Life script, I kept adding to it. I would add to it. I wouldn't eliminate things. And I remember I showed it to Bob Proctor one time and I said, what do you think? And he goes, there's a lot of repetition in here. And I said, well, what do you teach? All right. Exactly what you teach is about the repetition. That's what Joseph Murphy teaches. That's what Napoleon Hill taught. That's what Earl Nightingale taught. That's what they all taught. Neville Goddard. Repetition, repetition, repetition. So what you're doing, and it's interesting, Nancy, that you're saying this today, because this morning I was sitting in my office and I had my pages of affirmations here in my office and I was reading them emotionally connecting to them. And I was thinking that thought, I wonder if I have too many,
Funny.
But I love them. I love them all. I know they all support me. And so it's not a bad thing. Now
here's my stack of
okay. You may have some that you choose to give more attention to. For example, I have one on my desk that I wrote out recently. I read it in this book and it was on July 22nd. I read this statement and I just loved it. I loved it so much that I wrote it down and I say it now multiple times a day. So this one, like my others, are beside my bed because I'll read them in the morning, I read them at night. This one's on my desk. So I'm reading it over and over and over and over again throughout the day. And so, you may find that if there is one particular affirmation or a few particular affirmations that you want to make, maybe choose some of those to be more repetitive.
Okay, thank you.
All right, you're very welcome. Okay, it is 3 o'clock, my friends. I promise to end on time. I'm doing that every single day. I just really love you guys. I appreciate you. Thank you for being here. Make sure you book an appointment, as we would love to serve you. We want to take you all the way, babies, all the way. And so we're going to be back again tomorrow. Please be here, do your assignments as well. And we're going to talk about living this, how this becomes your reality. All right. So I will see you all tomorrow afternoon, 2 o'clock Eastern time, same channel. All right, everyone. Bye-bye. Have a wonderful evening or afternoon or morning, whatever time of day it is.